Words are the new violence. Violent protest is the new peaceful protest. Anyone who isn't a violent leftist is a Nazi. And then there's Jon Lovitz. There's been a lot of outrage surrounding the events at Charlottesville, and rightfully so. There was violence on both sides, and a woman was killed. So why Jon Lovitz? Because he showed up in my Twitter feed. But I don't think I would have noticed if he didn't hold one of the single most reprehensible positions on speech there is. Hate speech isn't free speech. Luckily, my friend Anita Roars has given me and all of us the single most effective weapon for dismantling this position and exposing it for nothing but folly. Turns out, speech can only ever be the expression of a thought. So when one says hate speech is not free speech, they can only ever mean hate thought is not free thought. When you say this, John, it's an attempt to police people's thoughts. And you're lucky enough to live in America, a country where your founding fathers had the foresight to know that when it comes to thought, you're not the fucking boss of me. I'm not the fucking boss of you. No one is the boss of anyone else. You know where they police thoughts, John? Nazi Germany. After that, Soviet East Germany. Today, North Korea. And the People's Republic of Canada. Don't shit on your freedoms because they don't always work in your favor. Don't shit on them because they have flaws. Freedoms have flaws. Nothing is perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. When you aim to take a freedom from someone else, that freedom gets taken from you too. Don't forget that. Now, I actually enjoy Jon Lovitz's work. His skits, his bits in film. I find them hilarious. But I've just realized I find them funny because he's kind of an idiot. The problem is when that stupidity leaks over from comedy into the political sphere. It's no longer funny. It's just wrong. And I mean demonstrably incorrect. Here's a for instance. My internet mom, who it turns out is probably younger than me, based mama, says to Jon Lovitz, even Nazis have a right to free speech. To which he responds, yeah, good, defend Nazis. Well, hold on. She didn't defend Nazis. She defended free speech. For everyone. And therein lies the imperfection with free speech. Either everyone has free speech, including those with whom you disagree, or no one does. She calls him a jackass, he calls her an asshole, and on those counts, they're both correct. He is a fucking jackass, at least when it comes to free speech. And she is kind of an asshole when it comes to free speech. But she's my favorite kind of asshole. And to be badass, you have to be a bit of an asshole. But being a jackass doesn't make you a badass. Now, Lovitz has been hanging on by a thread as far as I can tell in this conversation. But here he just lets go and dives off the fucking cliff. I am for oppressing Nazis. And I'm gonna circle back to that. As are all the politicians of both parties. Nazis should be condemned. They have no place in America. All the politicians, no free speech fundamentalist politician is going to agree with you here. No one should be oppressed for thought or speech. We already proved that. Nazis should be condemned. What do you mean by that? Do you think they should be rounded up and sent off to the gulags? Or are you talking about shit-talking them to death? I'm all for shit-talking, John. They have no place in America. Wrong. America's the only place they have left. The only place they have true freedom of speech to express their ideas. Which brings us back to oppressing Nazis. You're for oppressing Nazis? How do you know they're Nazis, John? How do you know? Is it because they fly a flag you don't like? Maybe it's because they're dressed like Nazis. I wanted to do a thing here about how do you know it's not a joke? You're not that funny. So maybe the joke would go over your head, but you're fucking hilarious. I can't deny that. But you still don't know. You still don't know. Maybe they took part in a white nationalist rally. And they were doxxed, but maybe they were misidentified. You can't just oppress them for what they said. We already proved that. You can only condemn them. You can only punish them for what they do if they commit a crime. John, if there was a person, if there was a group of people who decided we should reinstitute slavery, and only for black people, all black people should be immediately re-enslaved and put to work. You can't justifiably round those people up. You can't do it. Unless, of course, they try to take slaves immediately. Then you could do something. But if they just say it, if they just try to argue that should be done, you can't round them up. You can't oppress them. But you don't have to, John. There are simple rebuttals to bad ideas. And ideas like that will be swiftly and easily defeated in the arena of open debate, as long as we have free speech. And the masses will be convinced that those ideas are stupid and abhorrent. And if you're not fucking capable of articulating that in such a way that people will agree that those ideas are stupid and abhorrent, then all you have to do is sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up, because somebody else, better than you and better than me, will be able to do it for us. This is probably the best response to anything you said in all of this shit. Nazis rationalized / justified thought oppression, including those of Jews, using similar arguments. Identity doesn't matter, Lovitz. It doesn't matter that you're Jewish. You are as much a Nazi as the white nationalists whom you oppose.
Relevant links to shit I said in the description? Maybe. I'm Irving Twin. Like, subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. At least it used to be.